of a more advanced guard, we're going to be going over open guard. Reason I like open guard, it's a much better attacking style, and a lot of us don't play a great closed guard game anymore. Like, not a lot of us are grab a grip, play completely closed. A lot of us play a lot more aggressive, a lot more open, so I want to supplement that style with some proper technique. First thing we're going to do is we're going to decide on grip. If you're in the pajamas, you have a couple options. Best one to start with is just the double cuff grip or the double pistol grip. Other options are kind of that tricep grip behind the elbow. I prefer down low in the gi. No gi, we'll talk about some variations. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to get control of the hands and get him kind of off balance. That's then going to allow me to pick a side, and I'm going to shrimp hard to get my feet to his hips. Bringing my knees in the center, here, and here. Boom. Alright? So this is what is traditionally referred to as open guard. I like this position a lot, especially in the pajamas, or especially in MMA when I'm trying to be active, because it allows me to control MMA or no-gi wrist grips or the tricep. Which is why I like this for MMA or no-gi, but especially in the pajamas when I have good grips, this is a great position to be in. So we're here. Little moving. I just set 2 simple wrist grips. I'm going to push him up and drag my knees to the middle. That's going to allow me to get my feet on his hips. Questions on just the basics of this position? Alright, so once we're here, a couple things I want you guys to focus on. One is attaching his wrist down near my hips. I don't want to have his hands way up here, and I don't want his hands kind of being out this way. I want to kind of keep my pressure on my shins onto his biceps and control here. The other thing I don't want to be is flat on my back like this. If I'm flat, it's going to be hard for me to move. So you always want to pick a side to kind of be cheating towards that hip. And that way when you rock, you're rocking back and forth from hip to hip. The other thing you're going to be doing is managing distance with your feet here. So it's not just, oh, my feet are on his hips. Because some guys are going to start trying to kind of back away from you here, and I'm keeping my feet engaged to keep me close. Other guys are going to be driving into you, trying to barrel on top, and you're using this to keep them at bay. Now, once you guys get to a comfortable position here, there's going to be a couple different sweep opportunities and a couple different attacking opportunities. First thing we're going to focus on is just sweeping out of here. So, boom, we get to this position. I'm here. One of my legs, the leg that's on the side of the hip that's open, is going to drop to the floor. The other foot is going to go from his hip, kicking in his armpit. And I'm going to drag this across the ground, kick him over, and pull this wrist. Boom. Hitting just a simple scissor sweep. So I'm here with Gavin. We get into position. I get my grips. Brain, knees in, come out to this here. Once I get him off balance a little bit, drop my foot, here, go. Okay. Questions on this? No. You'll get sweet points. So you'll score 2. Other questions? I'm going to hit it a few more times, but questions on the overall positioning or the sweep? I'm not going to do anything on this. I'm going to sweep from the wrist here. Look.
if I'm going to switch to the tricep, what he's asking is, do I switch to a tricep grip? No. Not generally. I will flip my hand, though. I will switch to a tricep on the far side.
Other questions on this?
What tips besides controlling grip do you have for trying to practice?
So, common thing you'll start to see here is one of two different counters. One, guys are going to start collapsing your knees and trying to do the bear hug pass that we've worked. Oddly enough, we've done that. The other one you'll see is guys starting to posture up and trying to go to double unders. Both of that is going to be very dependent on your distance control and a little bit of hip flexion. So, what's the dumb machine? The super sus machine, right? You know what I'm talking about? That hip abductor one? Yeah, the good girl, bad girl machine, right? A lot of it's going to be the control of that. So it's not just my knees are, like if you look at my knees, they're not pointed up when I'm doing this, they're pointed almost out at those 45s. Because when I'm hitting this, I want to have that pressure on those triceps, or on his biceps. So I'm pulling that in. Now obviously, big strong guy is still going to try to pressure in and wrap your legs up. The distance control is also going to help. So if he can drive into you, it loads your hips in and makes that easier. So instead of letting him push in, the more distance I can control here, the better off I'm going to be.
If you lose competition or something, you just put this guard altogether.
A couple options. I mean, one, if, let's say I'm here, and let's say he gets real aggressive, breaks that grip. You can reset yourself and get yourself back in. But let's say he gets real aggressive and rips that grip. I can pull him back in and reset and go back. So it just depends situationally. If you have strong grips, obviously this is going to be a great guard for you. If you don't, you may struggle with this at first until you find what works. I also like pistol grips a lot, especially if I get a guy who likes to break grips a lot. Because he can start pulling his hands out, doing all that. But that neutral grip position is pretty strong. Just harder to set up quickly. So over here, I'm messing with my distance. Coming up on top. Man, I wonder where you could go from here. The real shocker, real hidden mystery of black belt that we'll probably never cover. Ankle locks are probably here if we really try hard, but obviously what this works into. Other questions on this sweep? First things first, get to that open guard position. Play with the distance a little bit, then sweep. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I'm here with Mr. Troyer, right? Couple things we were running into. One, guys, when I'm here and I've gotten to open guard already, right? One of the big things I kept seeing us do is we would get to our hip line, but this foot we were trying to like chop at the thigh. Yeah, like we were going calf to thigh to try to hit this. This knee is hitting the mat when I do this. I'm hitting the mat and scooping this bottom leg. It is bop and then scoop. I over-exaggerate when I'm showing it because I literally want you guys to hit here and then scoop that way. The other thing is, a lot of us were trying to go straight, 90 here. We were bending and we were trying to drive him straight that way. I'm trying to put him right here. So when I cut this across, I'm cutting that at a 45 still. Because he still has a little bit of a base if I go straight to that 90. So if I'm here and I go 90, he's got a halfway decent base. But when I push and I move and I go 45, that helps that motion. Does that make sense? Now just to finish off the motion here, I have the grip, I come up, all I'm going to do, drive over, sit, and arm. Alright, so now all I want you guys to do is hit this a little bit more fluidly into your mounted armbar. Make sense? And just as a bonus thing, if they do grip, bottom leg kicks. Attach the wrist to your chest, pinch the knees, here, Wrist lock as needed. Questions? Same thing, just adding a couple details and then finishing it with you on. Alright. 1, 2, 3. Alright. I'm here. I get with Gavin. Good things happen. I get to open guard, right? Boom. I get here, right? In what in the unholy fuck are we doing this for? And here's the thing. I call out one of you, but half of you did it. Star Wars is. If you want to talk about space Harry Potter, do it on your own time. Alright? So, when I'm here, guys, I'm not posting to stand up to come into this armbar. My hips stay low this entire time. So when I come up here, I windshield wiper my foot out and around. My hips never have to move in that. Unless you have a severe disability that I'm not aware of, there's no reason to stand up. The only mental deficiency doesn't count. So, when I'm here, guys, boom, we're here. I see some of us still struggling a little bit with the top side leg. Guys, think about taking your knee over there. That's all we're doing. Like it's traveling over at that 45. We're here. This knee comes out and around to the arm. Okay. I watched like 4 of you in a row stand up and try to do the kicks. And it was almost gas. So, does everyone promise they're going to do it right, or do I have to break Gavin's wrist?
Break out his wrist.
No mercy. All right, so that's the detail we can work on here in a minute. I want to go over the next step. So I'm here with Mr. Troy. In the closed guard, boom, I grip, drive our knees to the middle. I get to open guard, right? Once we're here, a lot of people are kind of ready for this scissor sweep, right? Like, was anyone thrown way off by the scissor sweep? Like, did that shock anyone? No, right? You've done jiu-jitsu for more than 7 minutes. You saw that coming. So, I'm here. All I'm going to do, guys, instead of going for this top leg, it's going to come to the knee. I'm then going to pass this hand across to me. So I'm here. I kick out, here, and here. That allows me 2 options. What I will consider the athletic option and the fat boy option, right? Athletic option, you grab the hip, swing yourself around, you take the back. The I'm lazy and I don't want to get up, you grab the hip, scoot out, pull them into your lap. So, I'm here. I open up to that same side just like I'm going to hit this sweep. Because really I'm hitting this as a 1-2. Because a lot of people will block this sweep by going wide. Which then allows me to come here. I kick that knee. Not straight back, I'm kicking it out. As I'm doing that, I'm sitting up, pulling his arm across. Transferring it to my other hand. So I'm here, it transfers. As that happens, this leg scoops to that foot. This then allows me to either post and come around, or pull. Either way, you should end up somewhere near his back, and then you can apply uncivilized things as needed.
No gear, you're moving all the way around there.
Yeah, I'm hip hugging at that point. So like no gi, the only difference I'm really doing here, let's say I fake this to get him to base, here, the only difference is I will come underneath that. Like instead of transferring it to the hand, I'll grab the tricep on this side and I'm scooping that hip. Around, or scooping that hip in. Other questions? Alright. Couple more times. I'm here, I've gotten to my open guard. Moving around, I'm doing stuff. All I'm going to do, kick that base out. Transfer that hand, unhook my foot. here, here, here.
That's all happening simultaneously. You're seeing that as separate steps,
But it's a very much 1-2.
type thing. In my head, I want it in the middle of his path. So that way, if he tries to feed this arm back through, my head, chest, and things are in the way. Boom. Then we can either take the back, go half back, or for those of you who know this, you can go to that. Questions? This hand transfers to the wrist. There. So,
Think about it this way. It's always attacking the wrist. So it's on this wrist right now. The second this kicks out, I'm pulling it into this hand.
boom, grab the hip, come up and around. And then you grab here, and you ride it like that.
Technically, you should probably grab the belt.
But, other questions?
It's kind of like an arm drag.
Yes, arm. It's an offset with an arm drag.
Other questions here? Driller out. 1. Alright. So I'm here with Gavin. A couple things we seem to be struggling with. So, one is the hand transfer. So when I go here, I kick out. A lot of you guys are having trouble in where to grab. If you're struggling with this grip to grip transfer, like if you're not getting like how to pass it to yourself, make it a little bit easier on yourself and reach for the tricep. So I'm here, I reach this hand in.
It's a little bit faster of a grip. It's the no-gi version, but it'll allow for that faster transfer and allows you guys to get closer as well.
The other thing we seem to be doing is whenever we do sit up, we tend to be coming like out.
Like our chest tends to be pointing like away from him.
I want as close to this like armpit tricep area as physically possible. When I'm here, I'm right here. Like I want to be on this. Because it stops, because the best counter to this is to get your arm back. Get that arm back and come that drive back in. So you've wasted a lot of effort to get nowhere. So when I'm here and I hit this grip switch, I come right in and behind that, so that way there's no room for him to drag that elbow back. The other detail, our bottom foot. A lot of you guys are trying to like scoop his ankle. And what is happening to you guys is then you try to come up and around and you're like, hey, my leg's stuck. I can't get around. All I'm trying to do is take that foot from inside the hip till I place it right next to his knee. Because then when I come up and around, my hook's still in, but I can still move my hands. Does that make sense? If you try to scoop that leg way too deep, like a half guard almost, you're not going to give yourself enough hip mobility. Alright? Questions on that? Alrighty? Drill it out a little more.